right, so congratulations. You just won the first PTQ in over 2 years. How does it feel?
I'm super pumped. I'm really excited. I had a lot of stressful matches going down the wire, but I feel really good about this. Like, this is exciting. This is awesome.
This.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I was hoping we could take a look at the deck that you used to take this down.
So this is the deck I play is Green-Black Energy. It's an aggro deck. There are different variations of it. There was a ton of them in the tournament. People have a different creature choice or a few different sideboard choices. There's probably a stock, I don't know, like 52 cards, and then the other 8 have different among different players, like what 2-drop they want to play, how much removal. There's different things, but it's a fairly aggressive, utilizing energy and Constrictor Ballista. That's basically the deck. And it was awesome. It was great all day. This structure of the tournament, with the flights today, where you can't lose at all.
Right. You have to go
you have to win. Yeah, you just have to go straight 8-0, and I did.
Yeah, you got it. Are there any really cool interactions that you love about this deck that made you want to play it?
Yeah, there's like a bajillion. So, I mean, everyone understands about like Winding Constrictor and Walking Ballista is awesome. You just built up a bunch of counters, and for your skill hook and Winding Constrictor, basically everything in Winding Constrictor. Some stuff that my deck has that not everyone has. Like, not everyone's playing Long Tusk Cub. I like that as the choice of 2-drop because it gives you, it's probably the most explosive. If you have Cub followed by Constrictor, the Cub can get out of control very quickly. One of the reasons why I chose it is because I felt like some of the other options, like Sylvan Advocate's a really good creature. But they can basically defend against Sylvan Advocate by just taking 2 damage every turn and ignoring it. Whereas with Cub, you can't do that because it's bigger. And then with Constrictor, Sylvan Advocate has no interaction with Constrictor, whereas Cub is great with it. Some of the other stuff, I played 2 Drana, which actually one other guy that I sat next to in round, the guy I played in round 5 actually had Drana also, but I don't think it was too common in the field. I played 1 in the Grand Prix yesterday, and I liked it a lot, so I played 2 today, and they're pretty good. They are also very strong with Winding Constrictor, and also, like we saw in the finals, it's just unchecked in the air, it just gets bigger every turn and can get through. The only creature in the deck that has no interaction whatever with Constrictor is the Gonti, but Gonti's in the deck, and definitely other people are playing Gonti also. It's just because Death Touch is a good way of beating in the mirror when the creatures get counters and they get very large. Gonti kills anything.
Right.
And then also you get to play a card out of their deck, and it's like an impulse out of their deck, which is generally pretty good. I didn't get to do anything super cool with it today, but like in practicing for the event, I definitely got to cast a Glimmer of Genius a couple times against blue decks.
Very nice.
Even hitting the first time I cast it in real life, I got a Blossoming Defense on my opponent's deck, and then he wanted to kill my guy, and I'm like, your Blossoming Defense is like, oh, destroyed. Yeah, so the creature base is generally the kind of the outliers are the Drana, and there's one Ethos for Harvester main deck. Certainly more people are picking those up. I played 2 main deck yesterday and actually cut down to 1 and just moved the actual one to the sideboard because I wanted the other Drana. Other kind of choices in building the deck, I do have the 2 Blossoming Defense, which I think are very, very strong. I really like them a lot. Other people have like 7 removal spells. One guy I talked to only had 4 removal spells. I have 6. I have 4 push and 2 grasp. And I think a week ago, there was some debate as to how many pushes should be main deck versus how many other removal spells. But I think it's pretty clear now that you have to have 4 pushes because there's so much green-black and also the Mardu, and the push is just very strong. The land, I have 21 land and 4 attunes versus some other versions have just 24 lands straight up, or they have Oath of Nissa or Traverse the Uvenwald. You kind of like whether you're playing Delirium or Energy or neither. I was happy with the mana. It works well enough. I actually switched. I cut a forest for an extra swamp when I put the Dranas in, so I'd have more black. But the number seems fine. I think you could just pick this deck up and play it at an event, and I was very happy. If I was to play this again tomorrow, I don't think I'd change anything in the main deck. It felt very good to me.
I noticed there's a lot of 4-ups, so that helps it be
Yeah.
very consistent, which is always a plus.
Yeah, actually, yeah, there are quite a number of 4s because there's just cards that are like, I mean, Winding Constrictors are just better than the other cards. They just, everything works together with that. Fatal Push, Constrictor. I don't think everyone had 4 Gearhulks. I think most people do. I only played 3 Rish cards. Some people had 2, 3, or 4. So there's a fair amount of variation among the same cards as to the number that you're playing. But the mana worked out pretty well. There was one in round 5. So playing for the top 8, game 3, I mulliganed and kept a no land hand because I had an Attune with Ether. I was like, well, that's my second land. My hand was basically Attune with Ether and like 5 2-drops. That all the guys that work well together. I just didn't have a land. It's like, well, in the last 6 months or so, I've really started being more and more aggressive about, if they keep 7, how good is my 5 gonna have to be to beat theirs? Like, it's possible, but if I have a good 6 and I'm only short one thing, in this case, all land, then maybe we can keep it. So I kept Scryed, and it was a swamp, which doesn't work with the Attune.
Oh, no.
But I kept it anyway because if the next card's if there's 2 land in a row, then I can just start playing stuff and play the Attune later. The next card was not a land. I just missed my land drop, got smacked, and then hit the land, and was able to actually recover and win the game, and that put me in top 8. Well, that was, I don't know if.
That's a really stressful way to make it
Yeah,
top 8.
yeah, it was. I mean, this was a stressful tournament. Like the early rounds were kind of not too bad, but then things started getting harder and harder, and yeah. I mean, I had some favors. Like some of my opponents did take, in the top 4, my green-black opponent mulled to 5 in the last game, which is, frustrating for him and great for me.
Right.
And
Very true.
yeah, I think the deck played pretty well overall. I was not really happy with the sideboard. I didn't have a whole lot for the last round where I played in the finals, where I played against the old school Marvel Works deck with just puzzle knots and tons of energy, and that was pretty frightening. And game 1, I think I conceded on about turn 3.5 because I was just dead. And then game 2, I was able to race them out. And then game 3 was, I would say he made 2 mistakes that I noticed in game 3. One of them he got away with because I couldn't punish him for it. And the other one, he got destroyed for.
Severely punished.
Yeah, and yeah, this was such a great day. I had a good time, and I mean, obviously now I get to go to all 4 Pro Tours this year. I've never done that before. I've never gone to.
Really wonderful.
Yeah, so this was pretty sweet. Should we talk about the sideboard?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's talk about the sideboard. So what do you have in the sideboard to kind of, what do you bring them in against,
Yeah.
I guess?
So first of all, just to get out of the way, we have like this control package, which doesn't see much use because there's not a lot of control. Although I did play in the top 8, I played against Jeskai Saheeli control. So I've got 2 Lifecrafters Bestiary and 2 Scrap Heap Scroungers. All of those are good against. Well, the Scrap Heap Scrounger I originally played Nest of Vital Force last week, and that's for after they fumigate, then you just play that, animate a land attack for 5. Scrounger attacks for only 3 after a fumigate, but also you can play it on turn 2, so it's just an extra 2-drop. So that felt pretty good to me. The Lifecrafters Bestiary is really good in long games. It just draws so many cards, and one thing about that is I saw a lot of people playing it in the mirror. And I feel like it's too slow. Like the game, if the other person has a reasonable draw, you're not going to be alive long enough to take advantage of this. So I was not boarding it in the mirror, but some people were. And maybe they're right, but I was okay with not doing it. We have 6 discard spells. The Harsh Scrutinies are for the mirror, and then all 6 come in against more slower creature decks, like the 4-color Saheeli deck or other random nonsense we might run into. And then, actually, I wasn't doing this originally, but the Harsh Scrutinies are also coming in against the control decks with just like 4 blue Gearhulks and like Felidar Guardians, because even though it only hits a creature, Gearhulk doesn't come down until turn 6 or 7. So even if you don't play it on turn 1, but if you have it, you wait until basically the last possible turn before they'd have to play Gearhulk, then you play it, and now they either have to counter it or it just hits Gearhulk, or it misses, but then they don't have Gearhulk anyway, so you're still fine. So the discard package seemed fine. There's 2, the 2nd and 3rd Ethos for Harvester, which are for the Mardu deck. I played against a Humans deck, I brought them in there, and then I bring them in when I'm going 2nd in the mirror. Like when I'm going
Okay.
first, because it's kind of a slower defensive card. So even though it only costs 3, it's still, I mean, it's still a defensive card. So I did not play them going first in the mirror, but going second I did. And then we have 2 murders and 1 natural obsolescence, which is just for stray artifacts that might be running around.
Sure.
I was pretty happy with it. It worked pretty well.
Yeah, it's a really cool deck, and it got you a solid 8-0 today. So.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. This was, oh, I can't believe this happened. This was just, wow.
Well, congratulations, and
Thanks.
thank you for showing me your deck.
Sure.
Go celebrate.
Oh, I will. I'm going to eat dinner.
Yeah.
I haven't,
Great.
yeah, food is good. We haven't had any all day, and yeah. I can't believe I'm going to go all 4 Pro Tours this year. That's amazing.